A lion can kill a zebra in under 30 seconds. A leopard can drag prey 3 times its own weight up into a tree. A hyena can crush bone like it's nothing. And yet there's one animal out here that all 3 of those predators will actively choose to avoid. It's not because this animal is bigger. It's not. A honey badger weighs about 12 kilograms on a good day. A lion weighs closer to 200. It's not because it's faster either. It's because this animal is built in a way that makes seasoned predators, animals that have hunted their entire lives, look at it and make one decision: not worth it. This is the honey badger, and I don't think most people understand what they're actually looking at. Everything starts here. For most animals, once a predator's teeth are in, that's the game over moment. Watch what happens when something grabs a honey badger instead. The skin moves, not a little, a lot. A honey badger can rotate inside its own skin. A leopard can have it by the back of the neck, which should end the fight for almost any animal this size, and the honey badger simply twists around inside the grip and bites back. The skin is extraordinarily loose compared to other animals of similar size, and it's thick, around 6 millimeters in places. That's enough to blunt porcupine quills and significantly reduce how deep snake fangs can penetrate. We'll come back to the snake part, because that's where this story gets genuinely strange. Low to the ground, compact, muscular in a way that looks almost disproportionate for its size. The legs are short, but the claws are massive relative to the body, built for digging, but just as effective as weapons. The jaw is powerful beyond what its size would suggest, and the neck muscles are thick enough to anchor a much larger animal. The skull is dense enough that there are documented cases of honey badgers surviving machete blows and recovering from injuries that would kill most animals outright. What's more telling than the survival itself is what happens after. The honey badger doesn't retreat to recover. It doesn't slow down. It keeps going. That comes down to something in the nervous system researchers still don't fully understand. Honey badgers appear to have an unusually high pain tolerance, not in the stoic dog breed sense of just not showing it, but something that looks physiologically different. They sustain injuries that would incapacitate other animals, and their behavior barely changes. Whether that's a higher neural pain threshold, a different inflammatory response, or something else entirely hasn't been fully pinned down. But the behavioral pattern across documented encounters is consistent. This animal takes damage and keeps functioning at a level most mammals simply can't. Here's where I want to be precise, because this is the part people either don't believe or have heard an exaggerated version of. Honey badgers are not immune to venom. What they have is a documented high resistance to certain neurotoxic snake venoms, and that alone is remarkable. Take a honey badger bitten by a puff adder, the snake responsible for more fatal bites in Africa than any other species. Its venom causes rapid, severe tissue damage in most mammals, enough to kill a dog, enough to put a human in serious danger. The honey badger goes down. Depending on how much venom was delivered, it can stay unconscious anywhere from a few minutes to around 2 hours. Then it gets back up, and in documented cases, goes right back to eating the snake that bit it. The mechanism isn't fully understood, but we know part of the answer. Honey badgers carry a modified nicotinic acetylcholine receptor, the same type of adaptation found in mongooses, their relatives. It reduces how effectively certain alpha neurotoxins can bind to the receptor. It doesn't block the venom entirely, hence the honey badger going down, but it blunts the effects substantially. Combined with what looks like an unusually fast physiological recovery, the animal survives encounters that should be fatal. Black mambas, puff adders, Cape cobras. For a honey badger, these aren't rare, risky meals. They're a regular part of the diet. This part tends to get undersold. Honey badgers use tools, not in a marginal or theoretical way. In captivity, individuals have moved objects to use as steps, stacked items to reach food, used sticks to probe and manipulate, and adjusted their approach repeatedly when a first attempt failed. Researchers studying this problem-solving behavior have compared their cognitive flexibility to primates and corvids, ravens, crows, generally considered the top tier of non-human intelligence. In the wild, that intelligence shows up in how they hunt. They remember beehive locations across large territories and plan routes back to them. They've been observed working with honey guide birds, a species that leads them to hives in exchange for access to the wax, which means recognizing a signal from another species and acting on it deliberately. That's a level of cross-species communication most animals never engage in. There are also documented cases of honey badgers escaping enclosures in ways that look like reasoning rather than trial and error. Watch a honey badger face off with a lion, and the size difference is staggering. The lion outweighs it by roughly 16 to 17 times. And still, watch how the lion approaches, cautiously. That hesitation isn't unfamiliarity. Lions have encountered honey badgers before. That hesitation is experience. The honey badger doesn't run, it turns toward the lion. And the lion slows down even further, its body language shifting into something like reassessment. What's actually happening in that moment is a cost-benefit calculation. The lion knows, from experience or instinct passed through the population, that engaging carries a real chance of injury. A honey badger's jaw is strong enough to crush a tortoise shell. A bite to the face could compromise the lion's ability to hunt for weeks. In the wild, that kind of injury is genuinely dangerous. So the lion looks at a 12-kilogram animal and decides, not worth it. That calculation is the reason honey badgers can live the way they do. The ferocity isn't random aggression, it's a survival strategy refined over millions of years into something precise, making every encounter with this animal cost more than it's worth. Honey badgers aren't ambush predators, they're active hunters. A single badger can cover 25 to 40 kilometers in one night of foraging, an enormous range for a 12-kilogram animal. And unlike most predators, they don't specialize. Snakes, rodents, insects, roots, berries, eggs, lizards, scorpions, tortoises. The diet shifts with the season and whatever's available, which is part of why they can survive everywhere from dense forest to near desert conditions. Scorpions are a good example of just how practiced this animal is. Most predators avoid them. Honey badgers eat them routinely, flipping them fast, biting behind the tail to neutralize the stinger, then eating the body, all in seconds. That's not luck. It's a learned sequence, applied precisely to a venomous prey animal every time. So why does this animal respond to threat with aggression instead of retreat? Some of it is mechanical. The loose skin and pain tolerance mean attacks hurt less than they should. Some of it is the venom resistance. Snake bites are, more often than not, survivable. Some of it is simply knowing what its own jaw and claws can do to something much larger. But there's also something in temperament that sits outside the normal range. Researchers who study mustelids, the family that includes honey badgers, wolverines, otters, and weasels, note that the whole group trends toward aggression relative to body size. Honey badgers sit at the extreme end of that spectrum. Nothing about that is an accident. It's the result of millions of years of pressure producing an animal that has, in almost every measurable way, decided that backing down was never the winning move.